What if one dream was all it takes to determine the difference between life and death? This is the gripping story of a man whose dreams always came true, until one fateful day when he ignored his dream. His wife begged, his pastor prayed, but he refused to listen. And what happened next will leave you speechless. Watch this story to the end. In the bustling city of Enugu, where the morning sun painted the sky, lived Chief Emmanuel Okafor, a successful businessman known for his unwavering determination and sometimes his stubborn nature. His wife for 15 years, Chioma, was known throughout their community as a woman of deep faith and wisdom. Their marriage was blessed with 3 children, and their home was one where love flowed freely, even if the husband and the wife didn't always see eye to eye. What set Chief Emmanuel apart from others wasn't just his business acumen or his connection with powerful politicians. It was his peculiar gift, a gift that has served him well throughout his life. His dreams weren't mere fragments of imagination, they were glimpses into what was to come. Time and time again, his visions had manifested in reality, earning him both respect and a hint of fear from those who knew him well. On a particularly cold Harmattan morning, on December 31st of 2024, Chioma noticed something was amiss. Her husband sat at the edge of their bed, his usual confident demeanor replaced by a troubled expression. His hands trembled slightly as he held his morning cup of tea. My love, Chioma said softly, sitting beside him. Did you dream? Emmanuel's voice was barely a whisper when he responded. Yes, I had a dream about my trip to Abuja in few days' time. I saw I saw an accident, a terrible one, he added. Chioma's heart skipped a beat. In their 15 years of marriage, she had learned to take her husband's dreams seriously. They had predicted business successes, family events, and even the gender of their children before they were even conceived, let alone be born. His dreams were never wrong. Chioma said, Then you can't go, placing her hand over his arm. We both know your dreams are messages from God. They are always a warning. Emmanuel shook his head, his expression hardening. The meeting with Senator Adebayo cannot be postponed, my darling. Do you know how long it took to secure this appointment? This contract could change everything for us, Choma. It could secure our children's future. There is no way I'm missing it. What future are you talking about? Choma cut in. What future would they have if something happens to their father? Emmanuel, please, listen to me. But Emmanuel, Chief Emmanuel, had already made up his mind. Nothing will happen. Sometimes dreams are just dreams. We both know that your dreams are not just dreams, Chioma added, already getting infuriated. Let me give you a background story of Chief Emmanuel's prophetic gift. The gift of prophetic dream had been both of a blessing and a burden for Emmanuel since he was 12 years old. That first dream came on a humid night in 1985 when the Okafor family still lived in their modest home in the village. Young Emmanuel had tossed and turned all night, haunted by a vivid image of his younger sister Adanna lying pale and lifeless beneath their mother's favorite mango tree. In the dream, he saw a green snake, its scales glinting in the sunlight, slithering away from her. When he woke up sweating and crying, his grandmother, Mama Okafor, was already at his bedside. Something in her ancient eyes told Emmanuel that she had been expecting this moment. It has come to you, she said softly, her wrinkled hand cool over his forehead. The sight has chosen you, just as it chose my father before me. Confused and frightened, Emmanuel told her about the dream. His grandmother's face grew serious. Listen well, Nwam, my son, she said, using the endearing term for my child. This gift you have is not for you alone. It's for the protection of others. This gift came to my father. It came to your uncle. Now is your turn. That very afternoon, against everyone's advice, Adana had gone to play under the mango tree. Emmanuel, remembering his dream, ran, screaming towards her, just as she was about to sit down. There, coiled in the grass, was a green snake, exactly as he had seen it. His warning saved Adana's life. The snake was later identified as one of the deadliest in the region. That evening, Mama Okafor gathered the family to explain the gifts that ran in their bloodline. The sight, she said, is a sacred responsibility. The spirits show us what may come, not to frighten us, but to protect us. When they speak, we must listen. Young Emmanuel sat at her feet, absorbing every word as she recounted how his great grandfather had used the same gift to save his entire village from flood, how his uncle had foreseen and prevented a market fire. But remember, she warned, her voice growing stern, with each warning comes choices. The Spirit shows us what may be, but pride may make us blind to their wisdom. Chioma knew better that her husband's dreams are not just dreams. She watched as her husband headed to the bathroom to prepare for his day, her heart heavy with worry. Why can't this man just listen for once? Ha! As soon as he left for his office, she made her way to their church, seeking out Pastor Solomon, their spiritual leader of many years. The church was quiet at that hour, save for the soft sounds of morning prayers from the new faithful who had come for early morning devotion. Pastor Solomon was in his office, a modest room filled with books and the subtle scent of incense. When Chioma shared her husband's dream and his stubborn insistence on making the journey, the pastor's usual gentle expression grew serious. "No, this is not something to take lightly," Pastor Solomon said, reaching for his phone. "Let me speak with him right now." The conversation that followed was one that would haunt them all in the days to come. Pastor Solomon called Emmanuel, speaking with the authority of both a spiritual leader and a concerned friend. "My brother," the pastor began, "your wife tells me of your dream. We both know your dreams are not ordinary. They are usually messages from God. They always manifest. So why are you insisting on taking this trip?" "Pastor, I understand your concern," Emmanuel replied, his voice firm. "But this meeting? This meeting can wait, Emmanuel. Your life cannot. Are you not considering your family?" the pastor cut in. "Daddy, the senator leaves for America tomorrow. This is my only chance," Chief Emmanuel said. Pastor Solomon paused, considering a compromise. "Okay, then let us find another way. Since the dream showed an accident on the road, why not take a flight? Get to Asaba, then take a flight to Abuja. Abuja is just an hour by air." But Emmanuel wouldn't budge. "Pastor, the roads are safe now. The new government has improved security. I've made this journey many times. Nothing will happen." "Brother Emmanuel," Pastor Solomon's voice grew heavy with concern. "Pride comes before a fall. When God shows us mercy by revealing what is to come, it is not for us to test his patience." The conversation went back and forth, with Emmanuel finding reasons to dismiss every suggestion and concern. Finally, Pastor Solomon fell silent for a long time. "I see your mind is made up," he said finally. "But remember this, God only wants those he loves. Through dreams, through the words of others, through signs we must be wise enough to read. Pride has led many good men down the path they should never have walked. What was it about that business that is making you this adamant to your safety?" The contrast that drove Chief Emmanuel, to ignore his fatal dream wasn't just any business opportunity. It was a culmination of 15 years of work, relationship building, and careful planning. Senator Adebayo, the man that gave him the appointment, wasn't merely a politician. He was a chairman of the Senate Committee on Public Infrastructure and had direct influence over the allocation of major government contracts. The particular contract Emmanuel was pursuing was for the supply of security equipment to all federal universities in the southeastern region, a 5-year deal worth billions of naira. Emmanuel had first met the senator 3 years earlier at a political fundraiser in Lagos. Since then, he had carefully cultivated their relationship, making strategic donations to the senator's charitable foundation, attending family events, and proving his company's capabilities through smaller contracts. The timing was critical. The federal government had just approved a special security fund following a series of campus incidents. Senator Adebayo's committee was tasked with implementing the security upgrade within the first quarter of 2025. The senator's upcoming trip to America wasn't just a casual visit. He was going to meet with international security consulting firms. Chief Emmanuel knew that if he could secure the senator's support before these international meetings, his company would have a significant advantage. The contract wouldn't just mean profit, it would transform his company from a mid-sized regional player into a national force. His competitors were not sitting idle either. Rumors circulated that Chief Oluwale from Lagos and Dr. Mensah from Ghana were also vying for the senator's attention. Both had larger companies and international connection. The pressure mounted when Emmanuel's contact in Abuja informed him that Chief Oluwale had already secured a meeting slot for the day after tomorrow that he had the meeting. Just before Senator's departure, the thought of losing this opportunity to his Lagos rival particularly stung him. Last year, Oluwale had won a similar contract in the southwest region, largely because Emmanuel had delayed meeting the key stakeholders and he didn't want it to repeat itself. This is about more than money, Emmanuel had argued with Chioma, his wife, the night before his fatal journey. This contract means jobs for hundreds of young people in Enugu. It means we can expand our scholarship program for poor students. It means our children will inherit a company that can compete nationally and internationally. What Emmanuel didn't tell Chioma, his wife, was that he had already leveraged considerable assets in preparation for this contract. The new equipment he had purchased, the technical staff he had hired, the office space he leased in Abuja, all were part of positioning his company for this opportunity. The rest of the day passed in a blur of tension and tears. Chioma alternated between pleading with her husband and praying fervently. Their children, picking up on their mother's distress, were unusually quiet. The eldest, 13-year-old Chinua, even offered to pray with his mother when he found her crying in the kitchen. That evening, as Emmanuel packed his bag for the journey, Chioma made one last attempt. "My love," she said, "if you won't listen to me or Pastor Solomon, at least listen to your own spirit. When have your dreams ever been wrong? Emmanuel? Remember when you dreamed of your father's health issues? How that dream saved his life because we got him to the hospital on time. Remember when you dreamt of the fire in your warehouse and we were able to prevent it? Why would God give you these gifts if not to protect you? Please, my husband, help me. Please, look at your children. Please. Okay, travel by air. Since it was a car crash, air will even be faster for you." Emmanuel paused in his packing, and for a moment, Chioma saw uncertainty flicker across his face. But then, he squared his shoulder. "Darling, this is different. Sometimes we must take risk in life. Relax. Besides, I've taken all precautions. The car has been serviced. I've checked the weather and I'll leave early to avoid heavy traffics. Don't worry. Choma watched helplessly as her husband finished packing. That night, neither of them slept well. Chief Emmanuel tossed and turned, perhaps troubled by his own decision, but too proud to admit it. Choma lay awake, praying until her lips were dry and her heart was heavy with fear. The morning of the journey dawned, clear and cold. Emmanuel dressed carefully in his best suit, the one he wore for important meetings. Choma prepared his favorite breakfast, but neither of them could eat much. The children, sensing the tension, hugged their father extra tight before leaving for school. As Emmanuel prepared to leave, Choma made one final plea. My husband, my love, my king, please stay or take a flight. Anything but this drive. Biko, please. Emmanuel kissed her forehead gently. You worry too much, teddy bear. I'll call you when I reach Abuja, he said and left. The journey from Enugu to Abuja was supposed to take about 7 hours. For the first few hours, Chief Emmanuel kept his promise. He kept calling Chioma at regular intervals to update her on his progress. His last call came just after he passed Makodi. The roads are clear, my baby, he said confidently. See, nothing to worry about, I told you. Chinwe, Chief Emmanuel's first son, ran to the living room with his mother's cell phone. Mom, someone is calling you. It's been ringing for a while, he said, handing her the phone. Chioma took the phone, looked at it and placed it over her ear. Hello? Who is this? Good afternoon, ma. This is Senator Adebayo's assistant. Yes, good afternoon. Is my husband there yet? Did he make it to Abuja? Chioma asked frantically. The assistant replied, Ma, the senator isn't in Abuja as we speak. He had to leave yesterday for an emergency meeting with the president. I've been trying to reach your husband to inform him so he won't bother coming. But his lines are not reachable since yesterday. I just got your number from his proposal so he wouldn't waste his time coming. Chioma dropped the phone, her heart sinking as she feels the weight of her worst fear. She dialed Chief Emmanuel's numbers repeatedly, but there was no response anymore. Ah, but we just spoke. God, please, she muttered. 2 hours later, Chioma's world shattered. The call came from a stranger using Emmanuel's phone. Hello? Who is this? We saw this phone on the ground. There has been an accident. The owner of the phone had been in an accident. A terrible one, oh. Just as Emmanuel had dreamt, a trailer had lost control on a sharp bend, exactly as he had seen in his vision. The resulting collision left no survivors. The news spread quickly through their community. Pastor Solomon rushed to Chisholm's house, arriving just as she collapsed in grief. The children were brought home from the school, their young faces confused and frightened by their mother's state. In the days that followed, as arrangements were made and condolences poured in, many would remember Emmanuel's dream and his fateful decision to ignore it. The senator, upon hearing the news, expressed his shock and grief, revealing that the meeting could indeed have been rescheduled. He had only mentioned his travel plans to create a sense of urgency. At the funeral service, Pastor Solomon addressed the congregation with a heavy heart. His sermon that day wasn't just about mourning their loss. It was about the importance of heeding divine warning and the danger of letting pride overcome wisdom and allowing material things overrule our thinking. God speaks to us in many ways, he said, his voice carrying across the packed church. Through dreams, through our loved ones, through that small voice in our heart. In this new year, as we mourn our brother Emmanuel, let us remember that humility before God and listening to his warning is not a sign of weakness, but of wisdom. Who are we in the grand scheme of things to compete with God? Chioma, sitting in the front row with her children, thought of all the times her husband's dream had guided them right. She thought of his stubbornness that final day, of his refusal to listen. The pain was still fresh, the loss unbearable, but she knew that their story needed to be told. She thought to herself, was there something she could have done? Maybe lock him in the house and throw the key away until that day had passed. But nobody knows. In the months that followed, Chioma began sharing their story at church gatherings and community meetings. It became a powerful testimony about the importance of heeding spiritual warnings and listening to godly counsel. She spoke of how pride can blind us to divine protection and how important it is to stay close to God and recognize His warnings when they come. The story spread beyond their community, touching hearts and changing lives. People began sharing their own experience of divine warnings ignored or heeded. The lesson was clear. God often warns those He loves, but it's up to us to listen and obey. 1 year later, at a memorial service for Chief Emmanuel, Pastor Solomon yet again shared a final reflection that moved many to tears. Our brother Emmanuel was a good man, a man of faith, a loving husband and father. His one mistake was not in having the dream, but in thinking he knew better than God who sent it. As we enter this new year, let us remember God's warnings are His mercy in disguise. When He shows us what is to come, it is not to frighten us, but to protect us. Chioma, now running her husband's businesses and raising their children with the help of their community and church, had found purpose in their tragedy. She often told the young couple, listen to each other, listen to God. Pride can make us deaf to wisdom, but love opens our ears and our heart. The story of Chief Emmanuel's dream and his faithful journey became more than just a cautionary tale. It became a powerful reminder that in this modern world, with all its pressures and priorities, we must never become too proud, too busy, or too conversant to heed divine warnings. It taught that God often speaks through dreams, through loved ones, through spiritual leaders, but it is our choice whether to listen or not. As we embrace this new year, let this story remind us to stay close to God and maintain a strong spiritual connection. Listen when God speaks, whether through dreams, loved ones, or spiritual leaders. Don't let pride or worldly pressure override divine wisdom. God is never late. Anytime He shows up is the right time. May we all receive the ever-winning wisdom to do 2025 successfully and alive to see 2026. In Jesus' name, amen. Did you enjoy this story? Tell me what you think about Chief Emmanuel's decision. Would God have had mercy and spared his life? What do you think? Let me know in the comment section. Like and share. Click the subscribe button. Turn on your post notification bell to be the first to know when another amazing story is made available. Share this story so that others will see it and learn this lesson. Till the next story lovers, enjoy your day. Bye. And a happy new year in advance.